What is up, horror fiends? Welcome to the Horror Junkies podcast, the podcast that discusses all things horror. I'm your host, Mike, and as always, I'm joined with my ghoulish friends, Patrick and Dylan.
What up?
We got a cool episode planned for you guys today because we are joined by one of, in my opinion, one of the scariest, horrific horror content creators on the Twitters, on the Instagrams, Trevor Henderson.
Hey,
welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me to talk about horror movies.
Yeah, no, thank you for taking the time out of your life to come talk on our little show about snacks and horror and all that kind of fun stuff.
All that good stuff, yeah.
But real quick, I just kind of want to I think we have followed you since the creation of our podcast. I don't remember how we stumbled upon you. It may have been on Twitter at some point.
Yeah.
But we have really just been in consuming all of the work you've done, and I've always been really impressed. And I'm not going to brag, but I have one of your original Cryptid poster prints.
Oh, nice. The
and,
one that's all pink.
Yeah, the one that's all pink. It's rolled up. I have it in an art canister. I have one of the first editions of, well, not first editions, but the first printing of Odd Noises in Empty Rooms.
Oh, thank you.
Because I was so big into your art, I was like, dude, this shit is sick.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah. I've done a bunch more runs of the Cryptid print specifically, but I always try and do a new color. So if you have the pink and black one, it's I think that's the second run I did. The very first one was slightly bigger in red, but thank you so much.
Yeah. No, dude, totally. But before we get into any further, one of the things we always do with our guests on this show is we ask them to give us their top 5 horror movies.
Okay, right out the gate, huh? Okay, I thought that was the end. Yeah, absolutely. I wrote.
Hell starts now.
Yeah. I was telling them before we even started, if I don't write it down, I'll have never seen a horror movie in my life. So I did write it down. And right now, the top 5 horror movies. I almost said Phenomena, but I realized I was wearing a Phenomena shirt. I didn't want to really double hammer that down.
Fanboy.
Phenomena, that's the plus one. But
I don't know this one.
My top 5 horror movies, just off the cuff right now, are Exorcist 3, which I think is one of the greatest.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Stop!
There it is.
Are you serious?
Oh my god! Yeah, no, it's always been one of my
favorite.
top. It's incredible. It's the scariest. And George C. Scott and Brad Dourif just going crazy.
I just showed my girlfriend that movie the other night. And I looked
amazing.
at her and I said, before I press play, are you ready for a cinematic masterpiece?
Yes, it's amazing. It blows the original out of the water, in my opinion. I think it's a better movie.
I'm going to tell you something. The best part of that movie, especially watching it with somebody, I don't know if you know this, but it's a well-known thing. I say it all the time. I am an energy vampire for first experiences.
Oh, me too.
Oh my gosh. I love sitting there going, you have no idea. And let me tell you something. We all know the scene.
Yes.
Quite possibly, arguably, the greatest jump scare of all time.
I think so.
I sat there just rubbing my hands like Birdman, and I was like, you have no idea what's coming, and you don't know it. And I'm going to tell you, she shot 5 feet off of the couch when that part happened. And I was just like, oh my God, this is incredible. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, that's my
I'm so
number
sorry.
one. And the thing about that jump scare scene is that it's so well paced and it's done in such a perfect way that even if you've seen it and you know what's going to happen, the intricacies of exactly when it hits it feels like it's different every time I watch it. So it usually
does. Yeah, completely. And I mean, the Fabio cameo, the Patrick Ewing cameo.
It's just it's such a beautifully weird movie, and that every choice is so strange. It feels like it should fall apart. The wheels should fall off. But somehow it all holds together. And
it gives it this. It gives it this. I think the structure of it and the editing of it kind of lends to the uneasiness of everything.
It does.
And
it feels like a
I watched it.
It feels like a weird transmission from a slightly different universe.
Right. I watched it on Blu-ray for the first time. I've always watched it digitally, but I bought it. And my surround sound picked up all of these neat little voice changes in Bradley Dorff's part.
Yeah.
And then the sinister growls and a lot of the whispering that goes on throughout the movie that you really don't notice unless you're really paying attention.
Yeah. Oh God.
It's a masterpiece. It's ahead of its time.
Yeah.
It's like the movie Cell. I don't know if you've ever seen it with Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Ahead of its time. So The Exorcist 3. Yeah, no, that movie. I mean, I kind of wish it was the original ending. I know we're getting off track, but I wish it was the original ending where instead of the priest battle, like it's just George C. Scott walking in and just shooting him in the head.
I still haven't seen. I have the Shout Factory Blu-ray. I think that it has both cuts. But then every single time I'm like, I should watch the other cut. I'm just like, but I just want to watch the really good one. I know the other one's supposed to be really good too. I just have not. I've not seen the alternate ending or anything.
Just a short, angry George C. Scott. He just had enough, and he just walks in and goes, "Cap," and it's all over. Credits.
I think that like the bleakness of that, and just the matter of factness and the groundedness of that, really does feel like it would work. But I do love. I know the studio was like, buddy, you got to have an exorcism in here. The movie's called fucking Exorcism.
Yeah,
so they made him do it.
Some fat cat smoking a cigarette. It's like you gotta have him. You gotta listen to me. You gotta have that.
Yeah. Usually I'm like, the studio doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. But this time I'm like, it's a pretty good exorcism. Like it's pretty good. When that guy comes in there and the score starts up and he's going down the hallway to go exorcise Brad Dourif, you're like, all right, hell yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, it's riffs.
There's just nothing. I mean, people say, "Oh, Anthony Hopkins won an Oscar and he was only in Silence of the Lambs for 15 minutes." Yeah. Bradley Dourif got that performance is like why. It's why character actors can really like chew up a scene and stuff like that. And I'm gonna stop gushing about it. He has 4 more movies left. I
hope we do this for you, all of them. Yeah.
Oh, we will.
I don't know, dude. My Apple Watch is going off.
It's amazing, and it's really, I think, come into its own in terms of having. It's kind of got the Halloween 3 going on, where people are kind of like being like, "Wait, this is dope. This is really good." And it's well deserved. The real
like one slight connection to the first movie too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think now people are turning around and looking at Exorcist 2, which I still haven't seen.
But
people are like, maybe this one's as good too. But I don't know about that.
Look, Exorcist 3 is like Alien Ant Farm. It was not appreciated at its time when it should have been this entire time.
So number 2, I'm excited because I have a deep cut on here I don't recommend often. Messiah of Evil is my second one. Which is, I don't know if you guys have seen Messiah of Evil.
No. You're speaking a foreign language to me right now.
Oh my god. Please watch Messiah of Evil. Messiah of Evil.
It's going on the list. I'm taking care of it.
Is this 70s regional, like, it's about this woman who goes in search of her father who's gone missing in this small, like, fishing town, or the small town by the ocean. And it's like a nightmare. It's like one of the closest filmic experiences to a nightmare I've ever seen, where everyone is like these ghouls. She goes into the grocery store at one point, and everyone is just all these pale-faced men and women in suits and ties are eating raw meat out of the meat cooler. It's really, really hard to describe and really sell, but it's like one of my favorite subgenres of horror, which are these very regional, low budget, very quiet, slow burn, but extremely strange horror movies. Like,
wow.
I always group it together with Let's Scare Jessica to Death, which is incredible. A couple other ones, but this, you got to see Messiah of Evil. They just released this beautiful, beautiful Blu-ray set you can get, and like sight unseen. Please go buy it and put it on. It's amazing. It's so.
Are you a
so
physical
good.
media guy?
I am, yeah. I usually like the really important stuff I get. I try not to get everything because it's just too much, but
it'd be endless.
It would be endless, but I try and get the really important stuff. Messiah of Evil is that.
I'm just starting my Blu-ray 4K collection, so
I won't go. I'm not going to get one of those UHD like 1080p Blu-ray. That's fine. I don't need to go high. I don't need to go further than that.
I see. I might be bougie enough to do that.
Yeah, maybe eventually, but like I don't need to. I don't think I need to double.
I like the graininess of the lower quality.
Yeah,
it adds a certain feel to the movie.
Some movies it fits better.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely watch Messiah of Evil. It's like it's so hard to describe, but it's just like this weird, blood-drenched hippie fever dream, Night of the Living Dead, set in California in a small town kind of thing. It's really weird. It's great though. My next one is Dead and Buried, which is actually a really good double bill with Messiah of Evil. They're both about kind of small towns harboring secrets and living dead bodies and things like that. Dead and Buried is a movie by Gary Sherman, who did, it's probably most famous for Poltergeist 3, which is also underrated if you haven't seen it.
I have not.
You should check out Poltergeist 3. The stuff they do in camera with like mirrors and like fun gags with mirrors is incredible in that movie. But Dead and Buried is a movie about a small town, which small fucked up small town is always my favorite thing in horror. Where everyone who visits this small town, all the townsfolk kind of show up and just murder him collectively. And then the next day, like the guy shows up and it's like he's always been working there. He's just like working at the diner now or the gas station. And the sheriff is like trying to figure out what the hell's going on with these murders and like how everyone might be implicated or not implicated. And it gets really weird and really, really bleak. It's just a gem. It's one of those ones that I always recommend to everyone, no matter what.
It looks horrific, and I love that. I'm
is.
Googling these as you're talking about because I have never heard of these two.
Oh my God, I'm so glad.
I am adding them to our. We have a giant notebook that we share with each other, and we have just endless amounts of movies. Adding. So the Dead and Buried is definitely getting added because it looks sick.
It's amazing. It has the most famous images. What you're probably seeing in the Google image search is like a guy gets horribly maimed and then he's in the hospital and they show up to finish him off and he's in this full head bandages except for an eye. And the nurse just like takes this giant like 9-inch long syringe and just jams it in his eye. It's ridiculous.
Dylan's gonna love that.
Yeah, it's rough. All the effects, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were done by Stan Winston, so it's all gorgeous. Like,
God!
It's
wow!
It's really, really, really good. I can't oversell it enough. It would be a really great double bill with The Fog. I've actually gone on some podcasts before, and The Fog and Dead and Buried are really like hand in hand.
Are they really? Because I love The Fog.
Love the Fog, and the Flog. Mostly the Fog.
The Flog, it's stepbrother.
Yeah. The next one, I think this is the fourth, is City of the Living Dead. It's Lucio Fulci's Gates of Hell, City of the Living Dead. It's my favorite of his Gates of Hell trilogy, which is The Beyond, City of the Living Dead, and House by the Cemetery. And it's just, that would actually be, I'm actually making like double bills with these without even knowing. Because like the vibe.
Which I love.
Yeah. The vibe of Messiah of Evil is very in line with the vibe of City of the Living Dead, which is this like hopelessness, this like inexplicability, like logic is just dying and there's no like reality's falling apart kind of thing. City of the Living Dead is a lot more like people coughing up their intestines than Messiah of Evil, but it's just a bonus. It's amazing. If you haven't seen it, I figured you guys would have seen that one. It's great.
I've seen City of the Living Dead. It's awesome.
It's so good.
Such a good film.
Yeah. And the last one is a big, huge favorite of mine, but I have a caveat. I'm hesitant to recommend it because the opening credits have real life photos of like war crimes and death.
Damn.
So I always skip the opening credits because it's a really heavy opening credits. So you have to know that going in. But it's a Spanish film called Who Can Kill a Child? And it's about a woman and a man, couple on vacation off the coast of Spain. And the woman's pregnant, and they end up taking a boat out on a day trip to this island. And once they get there, they notice that there are no adults at all anywhere, and it's just hordes of kids running around playing. And it turns out that something has caused the kids on this island to just murder every adult on the island.
Holy fuck!
And it's a great example of like high noon horror, like daylight horror, where everything is kind of drenched in sunlight, but it's still just so goddamn scary. It's very bleak.
I love
and it's
when
very
can do that.
Yeah, it answers the question the title posits pretty handily.
Awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, just if you watch it, you gotta be cognizant that the opening credits have like really brutal photos of like dead bodies and real corpses and stuff. I do not know why the director chose to do that. I think it thematically ties into the sort of the message of the movie towards the end, but it's rough to see and you have to know
it's rough.
It is, yeah. But you skip 3 minutes in, you're good. You're good. There's nothing.
You're good
else
unless you're into that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
then, sure.
Yeah.
We all grew up with Rotten.com.
Yeah. I somehow dodged that, so I'm good. But yeah, those are my five, I guess. Dead and Buried, Exorcist
those are
very impressive.
Thank you.
Very, very impressive.
I love when I can learn from someone's top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
They're all very bleak, actually, looking at. There's not really a super fun one in the bunch of those 5 I picked, but they all have a very specific evocative like mood of dread. So.
Which is always fun to see a movie play with, like, you know, being a little bit more convoluted, more textured with its story and details and the way it shoots things versus like, I love me a hack and slash movie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course.
But it's just, you know, 90 minutes of just blood and gore, and it's you don't care about who anyone is. You just want to see the killer come in and just do what he does best.
Yeah.
So I love movies that kind of play with your reality a little bit more and kind of give you these uneasing long scenes.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, fuck, can we please get away from this? My eyes are done.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you know, when there's a movie with like jump scares or like bloody kills or whatever, it's like a big release valve on the boiler. And I love 70s horror movies the best because often they're just like, you don't get that. We're just going to keep cranking it, cranking the tension up in the atmosphere. Until the credits roll, and then you can go home and get out of here.
And then you can go home and relieve yourself from very intense, stressful situation you just lived through.
Absolutely. Those are all great.
God, those are great films. And if people who are listening, if you've never seen these, check them out because I was Googling each one he said, and they all look fucking amazing.
I think all 5 are on Shudder too. I'm pretty sure.
There you go.
Dead and Buried Extras 3. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're all 5 are on Shudder.
Fuck yeah. Even better for you.
Yeah, but it's funny you mentioned the hack and slash because like whenever it starts to get warmer out and the summertime is here, like a little switch clicks in my head and I gotta watch slasher films specifically.
I mean, today we're talking and today is the Burning's like anniversary. So
I was thinking I should rewatch that. I like a lot of things about that movie.
Same. It does, in my opinion, Friday the 13th. It does what Friday the 13th tried to do better.
I can see that, yeah.
With camp and the slasher. I love The Burning, and they just did an event up here because I'm in New York, but going up a little state, I think by Niagara Falls, somewhere in that. They actually where the film was originally filmed, they did a screening of it to celebrate the anniversary of the movie. Which is pretty badass. I love when they do like there's this company that actually does that where they go to filming locations.
Yeah, I've seen them
and do streamings.
On Instagram, I've seen them. They did one at the obviously like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house. They've done one at the Freddy Krueger, the Nancy's house from Nightmare on Elm Street. All the big ones. Yeah,
I'm about to go see next Saturday. They're doing on Governor's Island. They're showing In a Violent Nature.
Oh, In a Violent Nature. I got to see that early. It's great.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so fucking pumped for that movie.
It's really good. It's got like 2 to 3 like kills that are very memorable, I will just say.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
I'm about it.
Yeah. And the vibe is very much just kind of like a very slow, meditative Friday the 13th. If you were just like, the camera was just following like 3 feet behind Jason as he just walked. And that was
that's what I love. That's why I can't wait to watch.
It's great.
I can't wait. I'd love to hear that.
The sound design, because it's just nature and the footfalls.
Oh fuck!
Very meditative. And then it'll get broken up with just a kill, like an amazing kill sequence, and then back to walking. It's great.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Yeah. Is there any music to it?
Yeah, I think there's music. It's been a little bit since I saw it, but I think it's like actually, you know what? It might not have a score.
Cool.
I think, and a lot of it will be like like the hero and the main characters of a normal slasher movie will be off in the distance, and you'll hear them talking about like, we got to get this is how we're gonna get the guy or whatever. But you're a distance away.
No shit.
He'll be like across the field, so you'll just hear it in the distance through the wind and the bird song and the. It's really good. It's really cool.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
that's gonna be great.
But Pat, take it away with the next question.
Yeah, go for it.
Well,
come on, man.
Now that we've got your 5 picks of your movies and got a little bit know who you are, where did it all start? What got you in the horror genre?
I've said it before, but it's all on my dad. My dad is a huge horror fan. He got me really into it when I was really young. We would watch movies together really late at night, like horror movies that were absolutely beyond my age. But it should be watching. Yeah, exactly. And it could have been probably could have messed me up in some way, but it just became like a really big bonding thing with my dad, and it became like it made horror into like a real comfort thing for me that's lasted like my entire life.
Awesome.
That and Stephen King,
Yeah,
which is Stephen King and Scary Stories Tell in the Dark, the Elvis Schwartz books, or like
I have all three.
Yeah.
So pretty, I can relate to that a lot. Except it wasn't my dad, because my dad does not like horror movies. Although I've gotten him to watch a couple. I got him to watch The Witch, and he really liked it.
Hell yeah, that's a good one.
And then I convinced my mom to make him watch Barbarian. Because me and my mom watched Barbarian, because it's for me and my mom. My mom was a horror movie buff growing up.
Oh, nice.
And every Friday night was at the video rental store, getting a video game for the weekend and getting a movie for the weekend or for that night. And it was just, like big bonding thing. But that, and Are You Afraid of the Dark? Like she's big into Stephen King. Her best friend has read every Stephen King book. Like I read Pet Sematary when I was very young, and
same.
So like little Stephen King. Anne Rice was another big like author for her too. So very cool. Yeah,
I have a similar thing. Yeah, like for me it was the two big ones to start with Skeleton Crew and then right into It. So It at a pace was
Skeleton Crew was a really cool read.
Yeah,
and I mean, no wonder they have tried to make a Boogeyman movie from that short story for so long.
The story's so scary.
It is very scary. It's like all you do is you picture a fucking shadow with a yellow smile and yellow eyes, and you're just like, that image has haunted me for forever. just from reading it alone, And I mean, I don't know if you've seen the recent adaptation of that book. Yeah. I thought it was good.
I liked it. It had a pretty.
I thought it was good.
It had a pretty cool monster towards the end, especially.
Yes,
it's decent.
Yeah.
I had a good time. I'm not too picky. Like I'll enjoy a lot of stuff. Honestly.
Yeah, you really gotta be something for me to be like, like for when it comes to horror. Like even if it's bad, it can be good, and I'll respect it. But you got to be so bad it's still bad type stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's like certain Stephen King short stories I'll never forget, and the last page of the Boogeyman's one of them, because I remember specifically when the monster comes out of the closet at the end of the story to kill the guy. It says that when it's talking to him, it croons. Oof. Which has always been like the worst thing a monster making noise can do is crooning. It's horrible.
Right, because it's like horrifying yet welcoming.
It's like
in a way, or like enchanting,
soothing, or something. It's horrible.
Yeah, exactly. Are you a Dark Tower fan?
I am, though I'm not. I can't fully say that because I've only read the first 4. I haven't read the last 3 or 4 at the end.
Did you see the movie?
Oh yeah, I saw the movie. It's not.
How bad was it?
It's really, really bad.
Dude, it's the worst theater experience I've ever had.
Oh, Dylan plugged in Dark Tower, and
well, HBO's doing the show finally.
Is it actually happening? Because last I heard, it's happening. Mike Flanagan it was going to do it.
Yeah, he's the one doing it. Yeah,
he's the only person who can do it. I think
he's the only one.
Yeah,
he's the only one.
He's got a lot on his shoulders right now because he's got to fix what David Gordon Green ruined, and he's got to fix the Dark Tower, which was ruined.
I'm hot and cold on him. Like I'll either love what he does to death, or it won't work. But I still appreciate what he does, no matter what. And I think he could do great with both The Exorcist and especially Dark Tower, because he clearly loves the shit out of the Dark Tower. Like he puts references into that and everything he's ever done. I think.
Yeah, he does.
He's just. Yeah, exactly. He's just, you're right. He does have a lot to fix, but I think that if you can, I didn't think that a sequel to The Shining would ever be good.
I thought, I don't like that.
And
book.
Then it was.
I thought the book was bad. Even as a Stephen King fan, I thought the book wasn't very good. And then the movie was coming along. I didn't like, a previous movie he did or something. So I'm like, this is going to be terrible. That movie, Dr. Sleep, is great. That's a great movie.
Yeah. Surprisingly, and I mean, like, surprisingly, like, heavy on like the kid violence.
Oh my god, yeah. It doesn't shy away. It's amazing because it's a successful sequel to the Kubrick film. It's a successful sequel to the book. Absolutely. It's a successful adaptation of the book sequel. And it stands on its own as like just an enjoyable movie that you could conceivably watch without knowing about any of that other shit. So it has to succeed in like 4 or 5 different ways, and it somehow does manage to do it.
Not many people are capable of doing something like that.
Yeah, no.
It's not done on accident.
Absolutely, and also just bonus points. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. He was just announced to be producing Shelby Oaks, a movie that.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I don't know
I've
a
been
ton
following
about that, but
Chris Stuckman since I've been into movie reviewers. He's one of the first people I actually got into, and now seeing him actually direct like a horror movie and get a bunch of cool people to back him up on that too.
That's great.
It's amazing.
Hell yeah. Yeah, no, I got to look into that more because I've seen people talking about that, and I'm not really sure what it is.
Yeah, I saw it.
I pledged for it.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Is it a found footage thing, or is it a?
It was on. It I think it had a Kickstarter, and now it's just it blew up.
Okay, hell yeah. No, I'm.
Like I said, it's just cool to see a movie reviewer like being like, "All right, now put your money where your mouth is and make a movie."
Yeah, absolutely, and also like seeing a bigger name like Flanagan backing like an indie project is always really cool.
Always cool.
It reminds me how I can never like fully dislike J.J. Abrams because he championed a 4K restoration of Phantasm and got it in theaters.
Yes,
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Like, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
and
that's
Cloverfield alone is
Cloverfield's great
project.
Yes.
One of the things I wanted to talk about, we love horror movies, and we're talking about horror movies, but you are known for your weird, horrific art pieces that you draw, and they're visually they're appealing, but they're also haunting, and they consume a portion of your soul. I love watching them, and like a very big thing for me, I love analog horror. I get down in spirals on YouTube watching like analog Jurassic Park horror videos. Some of my favorites. So like, I mean, I know Pat will probably ask this of you, but like, when did you understand that this was the type of art you wanted to draw and get out there in the world, and like what influenced you to really dive into this realm?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been drawing horror stuff since I was a little kid, and that was another thing I can thank my parents for, because my dad and my mom both really encouraged that, and were really on board with that from the beginning.
That's awesome.
But the stuff I'm currently known for and what I've been doing is actually fairly recent. I didn't start working in that way until like 2018, I think, or 2017.
Okay.
Before that, I worked in, I went to the Ontario College of Art Design for, I got my bachelor's in illustration. And then there was a big, long time where I was just trying different things and trying to see what I liked and what worked and what other people liked. And for the longest time, I didn't work digitally at all. I worked physical media with watercolors and acrylic inks. Yeah. And then I, by the time I was getting into digital art and just trying to learn that, it wasn't until I think I just painted one image that was supposed to be like, what if it was just kind of an experiment to be like, can I create one moment from like a found footage horror movie that doesn't exist, and then just kind of like put it up there. Awesome. And it blew up and people really liked it. So I was like, I guess I'll do more of this. And then I just kind of rolled with it and started using real photos people donated, and I took, and then it kind of just went from there.
That is one of my favorite routes that you took, with like people submitting real life photos, and you're kind of like putting in images. And I think mine is like the walking around half finished. I had to pull it up real quick. It's like this big long creature in this corridor. Because for me, it's like when you look at that and you're like, oh my God, could you imagine turning a corner and that lanky fucker is just staring at you?
Yeah.
Like,
I've gotten a lot of mileage out of like, what if there was a weird guy there? Wouldn't it be fucked up if you looked over there and there was a weird guy?
Yeah, like seriously.
Well, and I will ask you, because I'm an artist myself that went from physical into digital, trying to find that medium, because digital, it even as an artist before I went to digital, had a difficult time finding a way to where I'm like, this is finished.
Yeah.
And with digital, that doesn't exist for me. It's like I can keep going and editing.
Oh yeah.
So like I try to build a system for myself, especially with the digital medium, of like limiting myself to some brushes that I have pre-made, and I can only use those, and like try to make it do digital but make it feel and look physical.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of really good brush packs and stuff that can recreate that kind of thing. I have like 4 brushes that I just rotate between and kind of layer and overlay in different ways to try and do different things, I guess. Because there is just like a cornucopia of options. It's a little overwhelming, honestly.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And even when I worked with oil paints too, because like you can go back with oil and keep adding on.
Yeah. Because it takes like days to dry. Yeah.
I know. That's why I stopped using that. I went from oils to acrylic.
Yeah. I can't work in that way. I have such a specific way of working digitally. I use my iPad and Procreate. I can't even really work well with like Photoshop aside from touching stuff up at the end. But if I had to do like proper oils, it would be a mess. It'd be terrible. It's a totally different skill set. It'd be horrible.
Well, the thing, yeah, no, because that's also what I miss too. Because I strictly now just do digital.
Yeah,
is like the therapy you get when it comes to like abusing your canvas a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Making a mess and everything, and just living in the chaos a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what comes out of that, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely merit to working physically because you can like build up textures on a canvas or in a whole other dimension in a way that you just can't do digitally. I can see it being very therapeutic, like moving the paint around on the page in a very like tactile way.
Here's a fun little insert regarding like canvas therapeutic, being able to like elevate that art to a different experience. Have you watched The Devil's Candy?
I love The Devil's Candy. I like both of Sean
because we
Burn's
watched
films.
it on the show because we were like, first off, it was like Pat was like, we have to. One is like this, it's like this satanic heavy metal art movie, and he was like, we have to. But I just think that movie doesn't get enough love or is talked about as enough as it, because we watched it and we're like, this is amazing. Like it is everything you want in like a weird, like possessive artist who's consumed by this weird work, and the creepy guy that's in there just jamming his fucking guitar super. I love it, but just a movie that really like, I love movies that take those weird elements that you don't normally see in a movie. Whether it's found footage using documentation, all these things, or someone utilizing art and having that art come to life in some way or shape the story overall.
And that's Ethan Embry, right? In that one?
Yeah, exactly.
He's always great.
Which is shocking. Like when you when you think of like that movie than other roles he's played, it doesn't connect at all for me.
Yeah, he's shredded in that. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then for me, like thinking about this and was like, hearing that you drew horror things when you were a kid, like where do you really, like, say you get a picture, someone sends you this weird creepy dark shot of a quarter, where do you really pull that inspiration from to like design this weird guy that's just there in the corner saying, oh, you want a snack?
Well, the way I work is that I don't actually try. I try very specifically not to do a lot of pre-planning or anything. So I've like a folder of images with the credit, like where each one came from, so I can credit it on social media. And then I'll just pull up one that I think looks good in the moment, and then I will just draw directly onto it, like with a layer or whatever. But like I won't do any sketching or anything like that, and just kind of like work it up and just try and feel like what would be in that particular location or that photo, I guess. And then after that is done, then it's a matter of actually like going back and kind of obscuring it and adding shadow and like trying to make the light and tone and color and everything match so it feels all of one piece, which is like the longer part of the process a lot of the time. And like the ones that tend to do really well and people seem to like the most are the ones that show way less. So it's a lot of walking back after I've already drawn something, kind of erasing chunks of it, I guess.
Oh, that's super interesting, because I think like, I mean, Pat, you can speak to this, but like having that insight into like how an artist works or how that artist mentality, because like for me, like Patrick's our go-to guy for a lot of things, and like I'll text him like a random idea. I'm like, Pat, what if we're just sitting on a couch and a TV tries to eat us, and then like in 2 hours, all of a sudden he's like, "You mean like this?" And he's at work and he's like drawn it on paper on his like his pad at Disney where he's. I'm like, Pat, put it away. You're gonna scare some children. But yes, exactly that.
Yeah, incredible.
So yeah, like just like you and me, like I started with art, mostly with horror stuff. A lot of things was like I wasn't allowed. I watched things that I probably shouldn't have watched.
Yeah.
Mostly my inspiration is like 90s anime horror stuff, like
oh, cool.
Like Ninja Scrolls.
Ninja Scroll.
Have you ever seen
Ninja
that?
Scroll.
Berserk?
Yeah, Ninja Scroll. Yep, absolutely. The like manga extreme like Japanimation like VHS releases or whatever. Yeah, Ninja Scroll was a big one where I really should not have at all watched that younger. That one's pretty messed up. Yeah.
And then I think that I have an idea of where this book came from, but I think one of the things where I'm flipping through old Odd Noises in Empty Rooms, because I still have it, and it's in I have a giant zine collection. That's just something I love to collect.
Oh, me too. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, I'm assuming it comes from like your love of scary stories to tell in the dark.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, dude, but it's just such a cool book, and I can't get enough of it, and it's just so creepy. Any plans to do a part 2, or have you?
Yeah,
I know you've done, like, you have another book you've done. I think it's called Scare.
Yeah, I have a middle grade chapter book for kids called Scare Waves for Scholastic.
Scare Waves, that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, no, I would love to do a sequel to that, because I still think it has some good stuff in it, but also like I feel like I've definitely gotten a lot better as a writer, and just like working in that style, but like maybe honing it a little bit and making it a little more detailed. I think that the drawings in that book are a little broad. I could really like focus in on a little more, a little too gestural, I guess. But I would love to do it again. Look,
we're our worst critics, of course.
Yeah,
it's always a good like mind space to be in. Like, all right, cool, I accomplished this. Yeah. But what if I can either make add on to it or use it as a continuation? Which I'm going through right now with my own projects. Like, I'm just like stuck in like, this was a good idea like 2 months ago, and now I'm here and I'm like, this is I have a new idea. Stuff like that.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to focus on one thing, especially a bigger project, enough to get it done, and then I think that changing an existing project is a horrible path to walk. Because there's no end to it. You will just, if you break that boundary down where like anything that you've completed is something you can go back and change or add on because you've gotten better, you will never stop, and you'll go insane, and it's not the time.
It's like writing music. You got the most important part is knowing when to stop.
Yeah. And like, you look at, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Junji Ito, the manga.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you buy his collection for Tomy,
whisper sweet nothings in my ear right now.
Yeah, you can see like his first thing he ever did when he was working as a dentist, and he entered a contest. Yes. He did the first Tomy story, and it's pretty rough in terms of kind of the basics, and but because he didn't go back, when he was more he leveled up in his career in this way, you can still you can see his beginnings, and you can see the steps, and you can see the progression, and I think that's really fascinating. And I would never want to wipe that out, by going back and kind of like fixing stuff up. But I would definitely love to do a sequel to Odd Noises.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
That's sick. I would be your first purchaser, I promise.
No, because like I said, it's important for especially people that are fans of you or fans of art in general to see the evolution or see the steps.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, up until oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're fine. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, up until like 20, I guess, all of my life, I've just been working like retail. I worked retail all the way through until 2019 or so, when COVID made the bookstore I was working at go out of business. And then I just
that's the worst news.
And I was like, if I'm gonna try and make it as a freelance artist, now's the time, I guess. And thankfully, it's been knock on wood, I've been able to pay my rent the last little while at least.
And that's awesome.
That
your art is able to provide for you in a way that maybe you never thought it was possible.
I do not take it for granted. Cool every month I can pay my phone bill is like.
Trust me, you're talking to 3 dudes who would get in a van and play music all summer long, hoping that we made enough money to get to the next town.
Yeah, look at you could tell the time I was in a touring band by my Rocket Money credit history score. The 3.5 years of Red was the time I was touring in a band. So
yeah, that's a common story, I think.
I know Mike kind of pulled it out of you earlier that like Scary Stories is kind of an influence on writing and stuff, and we talked about Dark Tower and Stephen King and whatnot.
Yeah.
So like, what are your inspirations though for like, odd noises in empty places and stuff like that?
Odd Noises, it was 100% like a blatant, huge, just like Alvin Schwartz and Stephen Gamel, Scary Stories to Tell the Dark homage. With also like, I guess the storytelling in that is also like very like analog horror influenced and like very, the kind of like just kind of spooky snippets you get on social media that I was doing at the time. And I'm still doing, but like less so, I guess. And yeah, but it was mostly just like I love Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and you can clearly tell this whole black, white, and red. It's just very much exactly the same deal.
Yeah,
the cover even kind of it feels the same,
Yeah, I promise you, it is on my. I have like hanging books back there. You can kind of see them.
Oh yeah.
I have all 3 Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and right next to it,
thank you.
Odd Noises in a Room.
And that carried through even towards like the kids book I did, where I tried to like if you look at it, it has like 30 something illustrations in it, and they're all very much in the same like black and white style of
it's very creepy. I've even for grade children, it's got that weird I pull a little bit of like my brain kind of is like, I've seen a little bit of this in like The Crooked Man, and I love like the interpretation that of him coming out of the woods on that cover. It's just it's so weird and creepy, and that's the kind of book I can think back as a kid that I would have straight gravitated.
That was the goal, because like they came to me and asked if I wanted to do that, and we're just like, it'll be on Scholastic book fair shelves. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing that because
amazing.
That was me as a kid,
Scholastic money.
Yeah, exactly. And just I wanted to do something for kids that would be like that.
Yeah.
Some kid's going to walk out with that book and a Lamborghini poster, and they're going to be so stoked.
They're going to be so stoked.
Yeah, absolutely. But other influences are like obviously found footage and faux documentary horror movies are the best. If you haven't seen, I always take the moment to plug a movie called Savage Land. If you haven't seen Savage Land, holy shit, please watch Savage Land.
Adding to the list.
Savage Land is amazing, and it's one of those movies that's going to come out of nowhere in like 2025 or 26. Some boutique Blu-ray company is going to be like releasing a 4K set of Savage Land, and everyone's going to be like, what is this? And it'll blow everyone's mind because it's amazing.
I'm going to watch it tonight because it looks it's amazing. On Tubi.
Yeah. Savage Land is about a town on the Mexican border that is wiped out overnight. Everyone in the whole town is massacred except for one man. And because the officials are fucking racist and he's a Mexican immigrant photographer, they blame it on him and say this one guy made his way through the whole town and killed all these people over the course of a night.
Jesus.
But he claims something else came through and killed everyone, and he managed to survive. And so it's all documentaries with people involved and him in jail. But the thing is that since he's a photographer, he was taking photos the whole time. So as the movie goes on, they slowly show photo 1, photo 2 in the roll all the way through the whole night of what was really happening.
It's on Tubi. I might have to watch it tonight.
It's amazing.
I got work in the morning, but I don't care.
And the photography, like the photos they show, are so goddamn scary. I swear to Christ. It's a found footage movie where all the scares, 100% of the scares come from still photos. And
it's a found photo.
It's a found photo.
Found photo. Wow. Never. No, that's a first.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what I was saying initially, but yeah, watch Savage Land.
That's what happens here someday. You're like, what was I originally saying?
Well, show's over. Watch Savage Land.
Absolutely.
Trevor, before we wrap up, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, same.
Insight into your world and.
Yeah, this has been really cool. This makes me so happy we're doing interviews again, man. I love meeting cool people.
Same, yeah, no, thank you.
You're going to think of it's like Hot Ones. This camera, that camera. Also, like, any words of advice for, our listeners, your fans out there looking to get into like horror art, digital or physical media. And then, of course, like plug anything and everything you got going on for yourself right now, man.
Yeah. For advice, I would just say like, social media is so goddamn toxic and the whole ship is sinking anyway. Just, you have to come from a place of doing what you think is cool and what you would want to see. As soon as you're doing something for somebody else, it doesn't work as well.
Yep.
But the right kind of people can tell when you're doing something you're passionate about and what you want to see in the world. So if you put that out there, you'll naturally attract that kind of audience anyway. And, don't be afraid to bring in things you wouldn't expect, other interests, and try and like make something new. Like, all the best stuff, all the most interesting stuff that's still getting weird remakes nowadays, it was just like, Star Wars was because George Lucas loved old serials and like fighter pilots, you know, and he made that into something new. So just don't be afraid to like be true to yourself, what you like in the world, what you want to see out there, and just like jam shit together and see what works, and just you know keep drawing, and especially cool horror movie stuff because I love seeing that shit and I want to see new stuff always. And then for stuff I'm working on, I can't announce some stuff yet. Tarot is in theaters, and I did all the monster designs in that, which is cool.
You did?
Yeah, I designed there's 8 monsters in it, and I think they came out pretty cool. It's a very fun, like sleep. It feels like a movie you'd watch at a sleepover party. It feels like very Are You Afraid of the Dark? Goosebumps. So if you go into it with that vibe, I think you'll have a very good time.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and steer me from these people on the internet that are saying bad things, because my only thought was like, I don't care, man. Trevor did the monster designs, and that's what I'm here
for. Well, I appreciate that very much. And then just other than that, I'm just trucking along, doing freelance work, and a few writing things that I hope to be able to talk about soon, but can't really speak on just yet.
Well, you know what? If you want to follow up on those weird things that he's got held tight to his chest, hit him up on Instagram, give him a follow at Trevor Henderson. I'll link it in our show notes.
Instagram's probably the best one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's where he's the most active.
Even
we don't even go on Twitter anymore.
It's horrible.
If you need a place to plug it, you're always welcome here.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's been such an awesome time speaking to you, man. It's been great to get to know you, and I hope that you had fun on the show. And until next time, weirdos, stay weird.
Bye.
Tight kisses. Bye.